storage. Something I have plenty of on my boat, but something I don't really have at my base. Welcome back for another episode of Just Create, where the problem I'm having is we're starting to create a whole lot of things over here, such as gold, quartz, dark prismarine, TNT, and rockets, and a few other things too, but it's scattered all over these peaks in random storage vaults. But I have a vision. Floating platform in the middle of these mountain tops over here, where we've got this giant space that will act as a sky dock for all the little delivery boats that we're going to have going around here, with a great big storage system to hold all of the things we produce. Essentially a kind of central transport hub for this area that floats and has all these cool little bridges connecting things together. But to make this happen, first up, I need to grab some blocks and get planning. And we're going to plan with industrial iron blocks, I think, because they're easy to clear up with a wrench. The first thing I want to do is work out where I want the center of this platform to be. Probably around here somewhere. So let's just put a big column of blocks in. And we'll start at this sort of height and work it out from there. Let's just remove all this again. Now, if this is going to be a transport hub, we're going to want these boats to be able to get around, get under these bridges, and get into this area. So, do we hang the platform down a little bit lower, or do we go up higher? I'm actually thinking we might want a multi-level platform. So if we would have something around this sort of level, maybe a little bit lower, around here somewhere, then we can actually float the boats around under the bridges and they can connect the lower parts of the buildings. Because we do need to get some verticality in this build. However, that is actually the build limit at the top of that flag. So what we're probably going to need to do is actually build things into the side of the mountains down here. So yeah, having a lower part of the platform here might be good. Then we can have loads of sort of small delivery docks and things around on the inside. Then we can have a bigger platform at around this height that we connect with bridges to all these top bits. This is where we can put our big storage building. And there's nothing to stop us having docks at this level too, but I just think it's going to be helpful to have some lower down so we can go under these bridges if needed. So next up, I guess I should try and figure out how big I want this top platform to be. So I'm thinking maybe something that sort of size. We've got a couple of docks here because I'm going to try and leave this bit here open so boats can actually come in from the outside and dock in as well. And then lower down we'll have a smaller platform, and then we've got to figure out how we're actually going to suspend this. So there's a few options. We can of course connect some bridges and have like big chains connecting it all, but I'm not really sure that's going to be particularly on theme. We could have a great big pillar coming up from the middle, so it's actually just being held up. But once again, I don't think that's going to look particularly great. So why don't we use these engines? We've got these kind of weird anti-gravity engine things that don't make any sense. So why don't we use more of those? We can have them just pointing down instead of pointing out like this. I think that could look quite cool. But first, let's just build this platform out a little bit, see if we can get it looking good, and then we'll work out where some bridges are going to connect. I guess one going up to here would make sense. Maybe another one that connects up over here somewhere. We could potentially go around the back. Yeah, that could work. So let's grab some resources, stick on some music, and get building. Well, a reasonable amount of time later, we now have a brand new floating platform, and I think that's looking pretty good. I think once we actually get some buildings on it and build it up a bit more, it's going to look a whole lot better, and I might add some additional jet engines. So at the moment, it's just being held up by this one engine underneath, which is then connecting to the top platform, but I feel like that's not really going to be enough. So I might add some more under the bottom here. I don't really know. It kind of depends how we end up doing the buildings at the top. And this bit down the bottom here, I might end up putting buildings here as well to make it a bit more solid, which means that one singular engine would make more sense because it will have a bit more structural support. But for now, we're just going to leave it as it is. And you may notice I've also got the extra bridges in as well. So we're connected up to that side over there. And we're also connected onto this peak, which connects over to here. So we can continue to walk around our entire sky base. Next though, what I want to do is get a storage building up here. I think we're just going to do some kind of big warehouse type thing. I'm going to leave a balcony edge around 3 of the sides, but probably sort of overhang it at the back a little bit. And then we'll work out how we're going to do the actual delivery network part down the bottom later. So I guess I better choose a color palette for this building, grab some blocks and try to figure this out. And because we're going to do the storage system with backpacks, it doesn't need a huge area. I mean, I am going to make quite a big warehouse, so we can always expand it in future. But the actual storage area itself doesn't need to be too large, I don't think. So I'm thinking something this sort of size should work nicely. And then we've still got access to the exit at the back here. Going to have the building overhanging a bit on this side. But first, we do need to get a frame in. Now we've got a frame in, I'm just putting in a floor as well. Well, I'd say that's one fancy looking platform, at least at the bottom here. That's looking pretty good, but I need to sort out the walls now, and I think I want to block in most of these walls. I am going to leave some open. For example, the entire front area here is going to be left open, and I'm also going to leave this bit at the back here open so that we've got access to the path that takes us off that direction. But I do want to fill in all of these walls around the back and sides here. But I don't think I want them to be solid, so I'm thinking of maybe using fences. So we're going to try that out on a couple of the walls, and if we like it, we'll then crack on with the upper level. Tell you what, I think those fences actually work quite nicely. Once we stack up some boxes and other things around here and actually get some detail on, that should work well. I've also added another small dock area around the back here. And I've also made a start on the next level, just marking out the balcony at the top here. But now I think it's time we get the rest of the building up. Short while later and progress is being made on the upper level. We've got this kind of barn type thing going on. But of course still need to get some windows on. I need to get a roof on, and I think we're going to have some kind of crane thing on this side, but I don't really like how that looks at the moment, so we're going to mess around with that a bit. And then of course we're going to need a whole bunch of detail, but I do like how it's looking so far. So next up, roof and windows. The bad news is I forgot to save the replay file of me actually putting the roof on, but the good news is we've got a roof on. And the Blackwind Freight Co. now has a building. And yes, I've once again just used the same sign, but changed the logo on the front of it because it's the only PNG I could find of a decent looking sign. So don't be surprised if you see that shape a few more times. But I've sorted out the lift thing we had over here. I've actually got something in at an angle down here. I think that looks quite good. We've got plenty of space on the inside and upstairs, and we've even got some stairs in that go up, so we've got a third floor up here. Downstairs is all ready to go as well, and of course we've got this flag out the front. We still are missing all of the detail and everything that needs to go around here, but I think so far that's looking pretty good. The next thing we want to do though is actually work out the storage system. And I was going to use backpacks up here, but I think instead we're actually going to scatter around a few small vaults, because that way I can just have piles of stuff and things all over the place, actually make it look like a storage warehouse, but it'll also be a functioning storage warehouse. And I do have 3 floors to work with, so there's plenty of space. Now, one slight problem is power. We don't have any power over here, and because this thing is floating on an engine, there's not really a good way to get power over here. And although I could bring it over on a chain drive, once again, that's just going to look very ugly. Unless, of course, I can just sort of hide one under this bridge. This is probably the shortest bridge. Actually, it's not a bad idea. Just one small chain drive going across there. Let's see what that looks like before we go any further. So if we were to stick a chain drive in here. Nope, that might be a bit high. It's going through the bridge. Okay, a bit lower. That works better, and it's pretty well hidden. Then we need to sink one of these down at the same level as the ones we've already got over here, just so we can connect them up. Now we've got that connected, I can just put shafts all the way up to the surface. Then we just need to connect that to there. And now we've got power going across. Now I just need to get power into the building. So if we put another chain conveyor here, hook that up to there. Now our building has power, and what I want to be able to do is move things around this building quite easily. So I think what I'm probably going to do is change the design of these bits at the top here, at the top of the pillars. There we go. So we've got a chain network down here, and we just need to get power from here over to here. And we're going to do that just with a few of these chain drives. There we go. That's all of those chains powered. Then we're going to bring that upstairs and do the same thing up here. In fact, I think we can probably make this a bit tidier, and we'll connect it directly in the center here. So that's got power on this floor, then the same thing on the top floor. Okay, perfect. Now, one last thing we're going to need is a way to connect all the floors together. So if something gets dropped off downstairs, it can come up here and then go to where it needs to be. I'm thinking this internal beam here might be the place to do it. Now, first things first, we're going to need a whole big line of chutes. Want them going through all 3 floors. Do a barrel with a frog on top. Actually, not sure that's going to work particularly well, but I do have another potential idea. What if I connected this chain conveyor here to that one down there? Just cut a small hole in the floor here so it all makes a bit more sense. Yeah, I think that looks pretty tidy, actually. Then we can do the same thing upstairs. There we go, that's better. Now we've only got a small hole on each side, and that's connected up every single floor. Excellent, that means I can get rid of this. So that's the sorting system up here all going to be working fine. We do still, however, need a way to get things up from down the bottom. I'm thinking maybe around here somewhere. And we'll get stuff upstairs from down here by feeding it into this tube. Chute, I should say, which will send everything into a barrel, and then this frog here is going to stick it on the line. So now we've got the basics in, it's time to start working out where things are going to go, and for that, I'm going to need a whole bunch of different stuff to what I've currently got. So I think it's time to dump off this inventory and grab a bunch of other stuff. So I've just made a start over here for the storage, and I've been playing around. What we've got is a vault at the back here that's going to store our TNT. Then we've got a packager looking into it with a frog on top. We've got a stock link on it, and then we've just disguised it a little bit with big piles of TNT. And what I've also done is added a second vault here that we're going to use for rockets. And this is the kind of approach I want to take with this place, really. Just make it look a little bit messy. But we can't place rockets into the world to make rockets look good, so what we're going to do is instead mess around with armor stands. Let's give that guy a rocket. Want to make him bigger, so it's a nice big rocket. Down a little bit. Right arm up, and back. Just going to mess this around a little bit until we've got it in the right position. Something like that. Then we're going to lock it and make it invisible. There we go. Now we've got a box of rockets. Now next up, I think I want to sort out gunpowder. Let's put the gunpowder in a nice vertical shipping container, because why not? The frog for this one down here. And for a bit of decoration on this one, I think we're just going to use some barrels and some graffiti. We're going to make this Captain Beardy's black powder. There we go, that's the black powder done. Next up is gold. Let's grab the yellow volts. I think I'm just going to jam this right under here. Spread a little bit of gold around. Put a packager on this side here. The yellow frog, of course. But we're also going to need a stock link, so let's stick that there. Some boards to cover this up. That's gold sorted. And next up, we have quartz. Let's put that here. Just something like that, nice and simple. And we've got dark prismarine, and I think I'm going to give this one a slightly bigger container, just to mix it up a little bit more than anything else. That's dark prismarine done. This is coming along nicely. Looking nice and cluttered, exactly what we wanted. Now, something else we're making over here, which we do need for our airship, is, of course, coal. So I'm thinking we should probably store that over here as well. I think I'm going to put this right next to this little frog guy. Oh, that black is very black, isn't it? Let's maybe go for dark grey instead. And of course, we can't turn charcoal into blocks, but we can turn coal into blocks. So I think we're going to use these for decoration. There we go. That's coal, and that's also helped to hide this one here, which is, of course, the one that just sends packages up here in the first place. But I'm happy with that. I think that's looking pretty good. And I think that's everything I'm producing over here. For now, at least. We do also want to be making sea lanterns, because we're getting loads of prismarine crystals, but we don't actually have a factory for those yet. But I'm liking how this is coming out so far. Next up, however, we need to figure out how to get the items from these buildings over to the warehouse. And that means we're going to need probably another delivery boat or two. And we're going to need some kind of sorting dock down here, which can pretty much just comprise of having post boxes over here and over here that then feed into this tube to send up the packages. And then we can just decorate it with loads of crates and boxes and things like that. We do, of course, also have these two docks at the top here, so we could make use of of those. But I don't know if our delivery boat's going to be able to make it under that bridge, to be honest. Suppose we could make it dip down a little bit, come over here and collect things and take them back. I don't really know, so I'm going to play around with a few things and see what we come up with. So a little bit of fiddling and jostling things around later. I think I've managed to connect up the two lower docks. We've basically got a ring that goes all the way round, and then I've also used signals to break up the tracks. So basically this junction runs from here. You can see the orange bit actually runs all the way up to the top here, to this bit here. And I've set the entry signals for this junction to brass, so a boat will only ever enter this junction if its exit is also clear. So that should hopefully prevent any problems once we get multiple boats running. I've also put a signal here to make sure that this entire stretch of track down here is all one colour, which means a boat will only enter that area if it's completely clear. So that should be good, at least for the start. So I feel like that's quite a good start. I do, however, need to run the boat down here just to make sure it can actually get around. Okay, let's see if he follows this route, shall we? So the boat is off. Will he fit under the bridge? Just about. Good, good. It looks like he just about fits under here. Oh, he doesn't fit under there, though. Okay, that's a problem. This entire platform here isn't low enough to actually allow the boats to get under it. That is definitely a problem. Maybe I need to glue it together and just push the whole thing down. I mean, it only needs 2 blocks of extra space. But the good news is, at least I got the tracks correct. It is flying around absolutely fine. But it looks like we've got some changes to make. So let's just remove that bit of track there and all of the rest of this. And then we're just going to push everything down a little bit. So I guess I'm going to need a whole lot of super glue. And I'm going to need to redo this tunnel, so let's just remove it for now. But I reckon we can solve this with some super glue and a piston extender. Ah, we're going to need more super glue. But I can make some. Let's just make a bunch. Alrighty, let's get gluing. But first off, these diagonal bits aren't actually attached, so we're going to have to remove those because they won't move with the glue anyway. Ropes also don't move with glue, so we're going to have to remove all of these and put them back on after. Which is a bit of a pain because they take ages to take off. In fact, when we push it down, it will snap into place and then snap into... So it should actually break them anyway. I don't need to do that manually. Let's just get this glued together. I think I've glued it all together, but there's only one way to find out. Let's do that. That broke a whole bunch of stuff, which I assume was all of the rope. Let's just go the whole way. And all of this still seems to be reasonably attached. Though the sides have got a little bit messed up here, haven't they? But other than these diagonal blocks here, which didn't move, I think we actually did okay there. We've just got a whole lot of rope to reattach. And a short while later, the platform is lowered. This thing should fit under the platform now, which would be nice. Might still clip the ropes a little bit, but I'm not bothered about that. They're ropes. But that clearance under the platform, so much better. Excellent. Okay, cool. I'm happy with that. Now we need to connect some post boxes. Let's put one here, one here. We're going to call this one Beardstone Warehouse Out. So anything we want to send out from the warehouse will go in there. And this one will be Beardstone Warehouse with a star. So anything sent over this way will come into this post box. Tell you what, I'm not a fan of the floating signals. There's not really much I can do about that. So now what I need to do is start delivering things over here. And I think Dark Prismarine and Quartz should be the easiest because we do already have a dock set up for this one, which is down the front here. All we need to do is connect another post box to the station here and feed items into it. We should be able to do that at the back here, I reckon. Got this little platform down here, which is going to be quite handy. We can store a post box on here with a frog that will grab things directly from that chain conveyor there. That will do the coal and the dark prismarine. We can probably also sort something out for the gold from the platform that already exists, but we're going to need a new platform for the quartz farm, and I think we'll put one down here somewhere. And of course, we're going to need one for the TNT and the rockets and the gunpowder over there. Looks like we've got some work to do. Okay, so let's do the simple one first, and we'll make sure that this one is going to work. So I need to connect to the station. I'm going to put a post box here. That doesn't need a name. Then we need a frog. I've just had to go buy more from Chosen's Mall because I actually ran out. We need a frog connected to there. Place him there. And I think if we do Beardstone Warehouse Star, then anything destined for the warehouse from this factory should get picked up by this guy. Go into here. If we go check this, that's Beardstone Warehouse with a star. Perfect. So that should send items from this farm to that farm when addressed correctly. However, I do need to set up a new network for sending these things out. So first off, let's do the Dark Prismarine, because this one should be a bit simpler. Connect this frog up to here. Put him to only send packages. Then we need a stock link. So this one is now connected to the warehouse storage, but the rest of the farm is not. Now this one's going to be a bit trickier, but if I do that, then put a stock link there, stick a frog on top, send only. That should send out the coal. Now all I need to do is actually place the orders. So if I connect these factory gauges to the same system, and over here we just need a wall where we can set all of these up. So if I go into here, select dark prismarine. Okay, that's connected. It's telling me we've got 20,000 of it. Wow, that's actually quite a lot. And if we set this to Beardstone, warehouse, dark prismarine. Oh no, wait a minute. That's not going to work because it's actually reading how much we've got over there. I only want this to read how much we've got here. I can either come down here and place a gauge directly on this. I'd need to do that on all of these. And to be honest, it means it's not going to look quite as good in here. Or I could look at whatever these things do. What do these do? Lots of different gauges up here. So logic gauges transmit redstone. Integer gauges transmit numbers. Okay. Don't think these things are going to help me here. This one compares numbers with the comparator gauge. Yeah, this isn't getting us where we need. Right. How are we going to do this? I don't think there is actually any way round other than just directly monitoring the boxes like this. Because if I put that on a separate system, when the gauges then request something, they're not going to be able to talk to this system because they're connected to that system. So I guess we are just going to have to stick them directly on these. That's a shame. Do, however, still want to separate these two systems. So we'll keep the gauges connected to a system over here. So let's just replace these stock links quickly. Let's create a new system with these. Connect our factory gauges to this system. So that's where these are going to request items from. Oh, I need to eat. I'm flying slow. So this is going to read this box for prismarine. We'll set that to BS Warehouse Dark Prismarine. Perfect. And now let's just say we want it to have 1 stack. So that should hopefully send a package into our post box over here. Obviously, nothing's going to happen with that at the moment because our boat isn't going around and picking things up. And we haven't got a way to drop them off on that side either. So yeah, look, the flag is up. This post box has an item in it. So now if we just steal this guy's schedule, stop him from doing loops. You don't need to do that anymore, buddy. Add an action, which is to retrieve package. Then you can deliver package. And then travel to Beardstone Warehouse Lower 2 and basically wait. So hopefully he's going to pick up the package from this post box. Yep, the flag's gone down. Excellent. He seems to know where he's going. But anyway, let's work out how we're going to get items from this post box up there. So we'll start with a giant chute that comes down to here. Then we need a fan in the floor. We need to transfer power. So I think the best way to do that is going to be to grab one of these. And if we put that there, connect up the power, then we'll just run some shafts down this column. We'll run that through the floor. The chain drives. We'll cover that up with some boxes later. Use more chain conveyors, I think. See if that fan's blowing in the right direction. Items move upwards. Perfect. And what we're going to do is run the power up this way. We need some gearboxes. We're going to put a belt across here. We'll worry about making this look good in a bit. For now, I just want to make sure that we can get the packages upstairs. And that should just about do it. So we should end up with our first stack of prismarine. Oh, yeah, there we go. We just saw it go in. Excellent. And let's say we want 50 stacks of that over here. So that should set our boat off again. We just wait a moment. He should start sailing off. Yep, there we go. Amazing. You got word there's a package to be collected. So that's the prismarine done. Next up, I'm just going to sort out the quartz here. I think that can be quite simple. We put a packager here with a couple of item drains. Then we'll link up another post box right here. Funnel going in, funnel coming out. We'll make sure the stock link is linked to this network. And I think that should work for quartz. And I have actually also set up coal over here as well. So we should be able to sort out both of those ones over in the warehouse here. Let's set this one up for charcoal. Set that to 50 stacks. Set quartz to 50 stacks. That should put stuff in both the post boxes over here. So, yep, we've got some in here. That's all the coal. And in here, we've got all the quartz. And our boat is en route. Perfect. Now, gold. I think we should be able to do that one quite easily as well. Because currently, all our gold goes into this vault here. So if I put a packager here with a stock link, link up a post box there, then have a chute and a funnel, I think that should just about do it. All I need to do is put a factory gauge here, set that to gold blocks, set the address, set it to 50 stacks, and that should do the gold one nice and easily because, of course, we already had the station set up there as well. So I think we only need to build one new dock. Let's just go make sure we do actually have things in the post box over here. We do. Excellent. So I'm just thinking I should probably set up a collection point when I'm actually taking things out of the warehouse. And we'll just stick something temporary down here for now. And look at that, we've actually got 100 stacks of each thing, and the rest of the charcoal is just on its way. And we're going to call this Frog Franklin. We'll set this guy to send things to Franklin. So if we take out, for example, a stack of gold blocks, it should come straight to Franklin. There we go. Though, maybe I should put him on a packager. Just make sure I've done that right. Yep, there we go. Much better. So now I guess we should probably sleep to get rid of this snow and make it daytime, and then start planning a dock collection point over here somewhere. Question is where? But first it's nap time. Now the first thing to do is to decide where we actually want to put the dock. I mean, it is pretty bland and boring over this side, so we could do something there. Although, if we poke our nose in here, yeah, we've already got stuff in here, so we can't really dig into that wall. We could go around the front here, potentially, but I do still kind of need to put in a dock for the boat that already pulls up here. And that's going to be at this height, so I guess that side's kind of off limits. So I guess it's going to have to be around here somewhere. We could challenge ourselves. Maybe we could do a diagonal dock. Once again, not a lot of space in here because of the sugarcane. Okay, well, I guess it's going to have to be here. Not really anywhere else it can go. But we should be able to transport stuff down here, and then we can use these chains, get it into this corridor, then feed it down into a post box that's on a dock that sticks out here. I think that's going to be our best bet. I do like the idea of doing one on an angle. We could just have it so it's shallow on this side and kind of wraps around behind the wall so it comes down straight and then just sort of sticks out at an angle here. That could work. Let's dig some holes, place a few blocks and see what we think. So maybe something like that. And then we're going to need the actual platform bit that sticks out. Something like that. Okay, I think that could work. We just need to make all of this look nice now. Well, I have noticed we're being watched. Get out of it. But before we do that, let's work out the rail, which is going to come by about here. So I think what I'm going to do is connect it down this way. So it's going to go in this direction. I'm going to loop the whole bottom of this mountain. And then we'll do a similar connection to this back on that side of the loop. And then it should be able to get round everywhere it needs to go. But we've got a lot of rail to place. So we're placing this rail at a height of 232. So let's connect that to there. It's just going to skim the top of these mountains, but that's absolutely fine. Then we'll wrap it around the front here, then round to this side. And then from here, we want to connect it first, ideally up to here. But as you can see, we can't connect this way. Let's figure out something else. Let's just remove this curve here. Then we can slope this track down like this. We can also connect that to there, so we can carry on the loop around the bottom. This should just connect nicely back up to this one. That's given us our bottom loop. Just got to connect this bit to here. And there we go. We just need to put in a couple of signals for the station. But then that part of the network should all be connected and working. And look at that. We've got a giant loop around this mountain. Then we've got a loop here. We've got an inner loop. And then we've got this loopy bit. Loops everywhere. So many rails on this server. Okay, so let's make this dock look good. Well, I don't think that's looking too bad. I decided to add a bit of a balcony around the outside because it was looking a little bit sparse, and I've added another dock over here, but I think that actually works quite nicely. I've also cluttered the sides here with lots of deliveries from the area, so we've also got some Black Powder Bay Emporium things, we've got barrels of gunpowder, and at the back of the inside bit, I've also put in a stair set which will take us up to the sugarcane farm. So now what we need to do is first off figure out how we're going to get the TNT and the rockets where we need them to be. And I have a feeling the easiest thing to do is going to be just to go through the floor here. If we have a chest at the bottom, a chute going up, then we'll have a frog that connects up there, only to send packages. Then up here, we just need a barrel, a frog, set to Beardstone Warehouse Star. Because we want these frogs on a different system, we're going to add additional ones in to send only on each of the TNT and the rocket box. Then we'll have stock links that are on the same system as the outputs over the other side we did earlier. We want to make sure all of that's linked together. So that's going to get items as far as that chain there. So I need to figure out from down below where the post box is going to be. I'm thinking maybe just on top of this barrel here. That should be able to connect to a station, which, speaking of which, we should probably actually get the station in. So we'll put that right there. Station there. Perfect. Post box next to it. Set to only send packages. We'll call the station VS Fort Delivery. Then I just need to connect these bits up. So that will feed down into the post box. Carry these pipes over to here. We'll set that to Beardstone Warehouse Star as well. So that should grab the package from there. Get it into the post box? Let's find out. But that should be the rockets and TNT done. So Beardstone Warehouse TNT. The address is correct. Let's set this to 100 stacks. It should start sending TNT, which means hopefully this boat should just work once the TNT gets where it needs to be. Right, well, the TNT's going, and it's getting picked up over there. Means it should end up in the post box, which it has, and that should trigger the boat. Amazing. He's now going to come in, pick up the TNT parcels, and we've just about left enough space on the dock there. That was close. The flag's gone down over there. The boat should now just sail all the way around the front of the fort, and then go... I suppose it's going to have to do a loop of that platform, drop stuff off, and then go back round, but still, that should work. The next up, I need to do gunpowder, and that shouldn't be too difficult, because I've already got chain conveyors set up here from the gunpowder place, which is right here. So we just need a fresh packager, a stock link, a frog set to send only. Once I put the gauge on over here, that should just work. So that's that one done. Looks like it's sending out some orders. And yep, there we go. Gunpowder is here. I love how simple the train delivery pickup system is. It's just so simple. You literally tell it to retrieve packages and then deliver packages. What more could you want? So over here, we've also got a whole load of XP. We should probably think about storing that. And we've also got a whole lot of sand. So that's a couple more things we could add to the warehouse. With the XP, however, we should probably turn it into blocks of experience before we transport it over. But that doesn't mean we can't start storing things. So let's have one for XP here. And I'll put sand in right about here. There's one for sand. So if we actually set this one just to grab some sand, that should just work now. Seems to have worked so far every time we've tried things. Yep, there we go. Sand has come through, and the boat's doing its thing. So I guess all that's left to do now is to clutter up this yard out the front here a little bit. So I'm thinking maybe some piles of the stuff we've got here, just some general shipping things. Maybe I'm going to want to put in some, like, little stalls that are selling things. I don't really know. But sadly, that's going to have to wait for the next episode, because this is all we've got time for today. But I feel like we've made quite a bit of progress. We've got a giant new warehouse, a full-on delivery system, and it's much easier for us to actually access the things we're making over here now. Good times. But if you have made it this far, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye now.